Hello, beautiful Patreon peeps. How's it going? So, I've been called to give y'all forecast, not only for this week, but for the next 2 weeks. So, I'll probably be pulling and reading from 2 different decks. But that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So, this is the Love Oracle of Eden deck. That I love. All right, and I think this is by Tazama. Let me see. Is it? Hold on. I'll tell you in just a second. Oh, sorry. Abusa Pa. So, that's who this is by. It's a really beautiful deck. This is one of the images from it. So the surrender card. Isn't that beautiful? So, but for some reason I feel like it is Tazama. I could be wrong. I'll drop it in the comments and let y'all know. But the 3 cards that just flew out for y'all are Abundance. Isn't she beautiful? Yeah, they are beautiful. Uplift. And Respite. Closer so you can see. So, what I like about this for you all is, and actually, what I keep getting here is, for some reason I was told to put the Abundance card first, then Respite, then Uplift. I feel like you all are like so accustomed to like being the abundance in other people's lives that you totally forget that you need a time to recharge and to kind of sit in your own space, doing your own juices, feel your own presence and be your own vibe, so that way you can be uplifted and be in the mood to uplift others. So take this as an opportunity for you to be a blessing to yourself first, so that way you can pass that on with other people as well. And not just people, but other situations too. They came through really strongly in order to rearrange those cards. So I hope that that lands for you all. So let's see what's going on. Ooh. So this is going to be one of my French decks that I love. The Mystical Tarot, or Le Tarot Mystique. I got this year. It's one of my first birthday presents to myself in turning 40. And I absolutely love this deck. Woo! Y'all got a bunch of cards just flying out. Y'all got messages here. But I guess for 2 weeks, you gotta come with it, right? And I mean, and it makes sense, right? Like, we're about to go into a time of the year where everybody needs to sit down and enjoy themselves, right? Like, you have to people a lot, and peopling is exhausting. Trust me, I know all too well. So this is, this is like one of the cards. This is Le Diable, which is the devil in French, right? But that's the imagery, and I love it. So some of the first cards that flew out: the Devil, the 5 of Swords, and the Page of Pentacles. And I'll hold those up so you can see the images. And so here, listen, I can relate to this. Sometimes you get addicted to the feeling of being needed. And right now what I'm saying is you need to allow yourself to really ask yourself, like, in what ways are you codependent? Like, where does codependency lie in your life right now? Like, what are some habits, relationships, tendencies, whatever it is. If it sparks joy on the codependency meter, it's time to reevaluate. And namely in terms of the, like, your own inner, like, dialogue needs to kind of be hijacked and rewritten, because you're kind of blocking your own blessings, right? It's taking away from time. It's causing you to misuse your time. It's causing you to be a little immature and frivolous with your resources, because a lot of things are getting shunted in order to keep this codependent relationship moving forward, and it's stunting you and keeping you from moving forward. So it's holding you back simultaneously. So you, in a way, you may be in a season where you're feeling like you're chasing your own tail, and you're not able to do what we said in the beginning, which is to allow yourself to be a blessing to yourself, right? Or you may be confusing this codependent relationship as you being blessed by something. You know, sometimes the things that we need are not the things that make us feel good. They're actually the things that make us feel the most uncomfortable. And maybe one of the things that you're codependent upon is a feeling of being a little too overabundant in certain things, like a little too self-indulgent, maybe having a little too much access. Maybe you're not accustomed to having more, and therefore you're doing the most, and therefore depleting your resources or depleting yourself of this blessing that's come into your life. And now you're trying to scrounge and get it back, right? It's kind of like living paycheck to paycheck, being a little hood rich with that which has been bestowed upon you. So just make sure that you're being a good steward of that which comes into your life. Make sure you're being a good steward of your own resources, making sure that you're being a good steward of your time and your influence. I keep getting strongly like, if you're in a position of power and you have the ability to help someone else or to move someone else or an agenda or something forward, that could be of use or benefit to people moving forward down the line or even right now, make sure that you're utilizing that platform and you're using it for good and not just self-centered motives. Now, I'm not saying that you got to go out there and be, mystical fairy for everybody. What I am saying is that there's a time to definitely have self-preservation. And there's times where we have to make sure that we're being good stewards with the blessings that we're given, because not every blessing, as far as like a seed, is meant for you to necessarily reap that harvest. Sometimes it means that you're meant to like be the steward of that seed, so that way someone else can benefit from that harvest, right? So that way that as your harvest keeps going, coming in, your crops are still fruitful and plentiful, because you're not moving from a standpoint of scarcity mentality. You're thinking about this from the standpoint of like, okay, yeah, this came into my lap. Yeah, it sounds like a great idea, but let's let it germinate a little bit more. You know what? I've grown as a person, right? Now I'm looking at this seed. I think this is better suited for somebody else. And it's no harm, no foul. It just means you've outgrown that, right? It's still a beautiful opportunity. It's still a beautiful person, right? It's still, it was still a beautiful lifestyle. But maybe it's time for you to move forward. A beautiful example of that, Andre 3000's latest album, right? Like, so many people were like, he's not dropping bars. Well, no, he wasn't dropping bars, but he also told y'all, like, I'm so grateful of the life that I've lived. It's time for me to pivot and move on to something else, right? And to still be a good steward toward hip hop by mentoring those who are coming up in the legacy. But it's also time for me to continue to, be of service in this new way. So consider that, okay? Also, consider getting the album. It is amazing. I got it the day it dropped, and I'm here to tell you, dude is out here saving lives, one flute toot at a time, okay? Like, seriously, it's amazing. We also have here the King of Wands, the Seven of Cups, the Emperor, and we have the King of Pentacles. What I love about this deck is that it's actually non-binary, despite the actual like traditional use of titles. The images are actually non-binary, so it's pretty dope. Has a lot of feminine energy in it too. That was something else that I was bringing in this year for my birthday. Oop, you can't see. There you go. King of Wands. There you go. So with this, continuing, if you allow yourself to be a good steward, right? You're gonna find that everything that you need is gonna find you, right? The Emperor energy is all about, it's very masculine energy, but it's emperors, when they are in their resolved state, right? When they're actually like, they've done the work, so to speak, they tend to be really good when it comes to delegating and being able to have their executive functioning, right? A clinical term that's used, right? But their ability to delegate, to have time management skills, and not be so terrible when it comes to utilizing resources. They have a good command. Like, especially, I love this image of it because you see the emperor, and they've got this tethering to other people, right? Puppet master, right? There's freedom in you being able to get a hold of your demons, right? You have two opposing energies here in that regard, right? Right? So you've got the web that you weave for yourself, right? It's overly indulgent, and technically the emperor can be overly indulgent, but in this instance, here you're in the wilderness, right? Weaving these webs of, I don't want to say lies, but sometimes delusions, right? The story that you weave for yourself, and you're like, yeah, kind of delusional. But you got this individual who's got everything under control, and they've got this gilded, maybe viewed as a gilded cage, but it's a little bit more of a permanent structure, right? There's a little bit more tangibility here, right? And you got the chessboard here, right? Every move that you make, right, dictates something. You've got somebody here who knows how to keep their demons in check, right? External demons and internal demons are in check, right? Notice how it's framed around by the palace, right? Structure, government, like self-governance, governance, owning oneself, being able to allow yourself to see that there's fruitfulness, and things can come to fruition when you allow yourself to have a certain amount of structure. But with the Seven of Cups here, it's like you're accustomed to having too much choice. Again, starting with abundance, like in order for you to be a blessing to other people, you got to start by being a blessing to yourself. And that sometimes being a blessing to yourself means you have to tell yourself no when you know that you were up to no good, or that you know that you want some BS, or that you know that you're off your game. This is an opportunity for you to reset. And the reason I'm definitely stressing that is because with the King of Pentacles here and Uplift, it's time for you to take off, right? Once you have, especially when it comes to like overindulging, and I know we're talking about this going into a time of the year where everybody is always indulging, right? And even if you pick this up like later on at some other time, this was meant to be a timeless message. So there's that too. Yeah, at the end of the day, this is really about like you being able to ascend. So long as you get your stuff in order, as long as you allow yourself to not be shackled by your own sense of like, the own delusions of grandeur for yourself, right? Or even being around people who only hype you up, but are not willing to like occasionally needing to bring you back down to earth and ground you out and call you out on your stuff. This is a perfect opportunity for you to decide, I got too many yes people in my crew. Maybe it's time for me to find some people who are willing to actually call me on my stuff and just be like, that was a really great idea, but your execution, let's work on that. And your ability to discern between someone hyping you up because that was legitimately a time to hype you up and they had your best interest at heart, versus someone who is just hyping you up or tearing you down and ridiculing you because misery loves company, right? The more that you get your own vices in check, the easier it's going to be for you to discern those voices internally as well as externally. Let's see. What other cards do I have for you? I'm feeling called to... we'll pull this one from the Angelarium. Let's see. And so the angels that are coming through in this particular deck are from the Talmud, which is one of the older books in Judaism and mysticism. So let's see. Some people will liken them to the not the Juggernauts. What are they? The Titans. If you're familiar with that particular So we have Suklaf, which is the angel of verdancy. Verdancy has to do with like fertility when it comes to nature, greenery, right? Being lush. So abundance through nature. Okay. And then, so it's a lot of earth magic there. All right. which normally comes up for me when I'm talking about earth signs. So earth signs, this feels like it has a lot to do with you. Virgo, Capricorn, and Taurus, this has a lot to do with y'all right now. And we did pick up on a lot of earth energy here with Pentacles, Emperor. Even though Emperor technically is more Aries, but I also throw in Taurus there too. But yeah. And then, oh, the devil there with Capricorn. Maybe this is time for y'all. Who is this? Shalegiel, Angel of Snow, right? And snow comes up a lot when we're talking about being dormant, right? Needing to go within, needing to go quiet. So it's time for you to pull back and get yourself in check. I have been channeling a lot lately, and I feel very strongly that 2024 is going to be, especially January 2024, it's going to be a huge year for everything that you've sown in 2023. Watch it soar in 2024, right? The good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, the melancholy, whatever seeds you've sown up until 2023, watch them soar and take off in 2024, right? One of my favorite artists, Bruno Mars, actually said something that I think is very apropos here because it keeps coming up, which is you can't knock on opportunity's door and not be ready. Meaning, if you've been doing the work consistently, I just heard even half-assedly, and if you've done it halfway, whatever you have done up until this point, it's been turned in, or it's about to be turned in, and 2024 is about to be like, all right, start handing out grades or handing out opportunities according to the work that you've done. So you're really going to see the fruits of your labor. If you've been toiling over something, even to the point of overthinking it, it's going to show you and yield those results like, okay, here's what you got right. Here's some of your missteps. And not to say that things are irrevocable and you can't correct them. Just know that some of those things are going to start popping off top of the year next year. You will be moving at a rapid pace, but you'll have the opportunity to correct course if you need to as you go along, right? So this is going to be a year moving forward in terms of perfecting your craft. But I got a 2024 forecast coming for y'all. Don't worry. Also here at Verdancy, this is a time where people, if you've been wanting to conceive, in terms of actually bearing children, this is a perfect time for you to start doing what you need to do. If you're a womb-bearing human, you need to do what you need to do in order to get your womb prepared for that. If you are non-womb bearing and you are the other half of this cosmic co-creation series, in terms of being able to conceive, you need to make sure that you're doing what you need to do and you're in to make sure your swimmers are able to swim. If you are not trying to conceive, now is a great time for you to take measures to make sure that you are keeping that on lock. Because this is a time of fertility when it comes to ideas, but especially the human body. Perfect time to do a detox or to cut back on processed and refined sugars. So that way, you can actually make sure that your organism is performing at tip-top shape. Perfect time for you to consider going either vegan, vegetarian, or transferring over to a more organic diet. Also, when it comes to verdancy, you can't have earth if you don't have water. So hydrate. And you may not be able to see it here, but there's the divine spark right there in between their hands. And also, this angelic energy also has a divine spark here too, right? So even though we started with verdancy, it was the first card that pulled out, right? For each time that you allow yourself to come out, right, and to flourish and prosper and have all these things coming to you, right? You're also going to need to remember to go within in order to recharge, right? And just because you're out in the open does not necessarily mean that all aspects of you need to be shared with everyone. Sometimes you're going to need to make sure that you're keeping some things to yourself. Now, I'm not telling you to be inauthentic, but I am telling you that you have agency over the story that you tell and that you share with other people. Just make sure you're being a good steward of your word, of your actions, and being true to what you know is sacred to you and yours. Okay? You will probably likely hear my son on the other side playing drums. Lastly, draw one card from, actually, Yeah, they're saying use this deck. Two of Pentacles or Two of Discs is coming up. All right. So you're going to be in a situation where you need to figure out, like, make choices, right? It's not so much black or white, either or, even though this kind of depicts that, right? But this is really more about balance and what harmony and balance looks like to you moving forward into the new year. Make sure that you are focused on what it means for you to be able to dabble in things that allow you to see clarity and hear your own voice. I just heard that very clearly. The only way any of this is going to work for you is if you're allowing yourself to hear your own voice. By hearing your own voice, that means you're hearing higher self, which essentially means you're hearing God. I mean, these cards are talking. Let's see. We have, the first one to pop out was Four of Pentacles. All right, so this is the time where you need to focus on making sure that you got all your ducks in a row. Let's see. Princess of Cups and the Eight of Pentacles, right? Use that imagination. Whatever it is that you are trying to manifest and dream up right now, put those works into action. You've had ideas in your head all freaking year, probably the last 2 years. Get on it, right? Even if it's just uploading your videos or content online, sharing your artwork. I keep hearing your voice, like letting people hear your voice, or podcasting, be interviews, writing, whatever it is, right? If you've been shy about your own intuitive work and practices and you want to start putting it out there, this is welcome, and thank you for choosing to do the work. It makes many hands make light work. So thank you for choosing to do that. This is the perfect opportunity for you to do that. It allows you to have yourself seen, heard in a way that you want to share yourself and to be authentic to your work and to your higher purpose. And dreams is the theme for the Princess of Pentacles in this deck, and dedication is the theme for the Eight of Pentacles. So this allows you the opportunity to see your dreams come to fruition because you have been dedicated and a good steward, right? So again, watering seeds. I keep hearing watering seeds. The Prince of Swords, which is determination in this deck, and then the Tower. Okay, you're about to see your world open up in huge ways because you were unwavering in your task. And for a lot of you, I keep channeling that you all have been sitting here toiling for 5+ years, 10 years, some of you 20 years with the same ideas, same concepts, still pushing, still riding with it, still asking for things to come through, still being open for things to come and help you, still I keep hearing still. It's like still you rise, and yet you rise, yet you keep moving, yet you keep moving forward, yet you keep allowing yourself to dream these dreams, yet you keep allowing yourself to not feel foolish for still hanging on and hanging in there, making the monetary investments, the time investments, asking for more help, asking your families to go on this journey with you. You're not crazy, you're not stupid, you're about to step into your light. You're actually already in your light, you just don't see it. You're in the shadow phase of it. You don't see that the light is shining on you. You're too busy looking at your shadow, that you can't look up to see that the light is already around you and others have already started to take notice of you. But I get it, because when you're so accustomed to doing the work and keeping your head down and just being like, oh, when is this going to be over? Oh my goodness, when are people going to see me? You're so focused on doing the work that you've kind of done a slight disservice by not allowing the work to show you that others have already started to take notice. You haven't looked up to see if the work is working. Does that make sense? Let me know. Lastly, this is a time for you to report to yourself. This is what I'm downloading. Report to yourself, but through journaling, writing, voice notes, whatever. Tell yourself how you truly feel and how you really feel about this journey, where it's taking you, and just offload it completely, because you need to get that off of your heart. I feel like some of you have been navigating scarcity mentality, and some of the self-sabotage I've been picking up throughout this whole reading has been because you all have a fear of success. Some of you have a fear of success, and it's easier for you to sabotage yourself than it is for you to actually like see this thing come to fruition, because it's like all I've ever known is this work. So if I no longer have to do this work because I've actually, I've arrived, then what? Well, just because you've made it to a certain milestone or a pinnacle doesn't mean that the work ends. It continues. It just takes on a new life. And now you get the opportunity to learn a different way, right? Because when we step into our purpose usually guides us, and our purpose tells us in what direction it wants to move, what it wants to become, and it's ever evolving. So when you're truly immersed in it, it allows you to take, I don't want to say a backseat, but you wind up becoming co-captains. And sometimes that work means that you are seen in a broader spectrum, right? But with today's society, with like mega stars and things like that, and everybody in social media, like we feel like if we're not immediately like getting like 100,000 followers, or if we don't have this brand ambassador endorsement, or we don't have this kind of check coming in, that we're off purpose, or that we're not successful in what we're supposed to be doing. And I'm guilty of this myself, so I'm not just preaching at y'all. I'm being honest with y'all. A lot of times, those who are truly doing the work get the less shine. And it's not to say that those who do the work aren't getting any shine whatsoever, or that those that get a lot of shine aren't doing the work. What I'm saying is that there are so many people doing the work that the light shines on them in the way that that it needs to shine in that moment. So you made me think you need to be like Broadway, like lit up. But you're really needed more so behind the scenes to help with the people backstage. What if that's who you're supposed to be working with? Not because it's the B team, right? If you know anything about production, the people behind stage are the reason why the lights even work, to shine on this person that's on stage, or the people that are on stage, right? Who's helping them? Who's helping the people that's keeping the people illuminated, keeping them working, helping boost their morale, helping them to see their purpose and help them stay guided and stay prayed up and all those things, right? Personally, I like being the person behind the people. I'm happy to work with anyone, as long as it's in a proper alignment and it's a good fit. I'll work with anybody just about. But I will say I personally like working with the people who are helping those who are in the front line. I like being the person behind the people. That's just me. Again, if it's meant to be differently, then I'll accept graciously, and it is what it is. But that's just me. But I think we get so caught up in thinking that if that light is not beaming on us, then somehow we failed. And that's not the case at all. Sometimes it's the grassroots people who are helping to keep the lights on. It's the people who are in that limelight who are also feeding back intel to the people who are grassroots, or giving them supplies, or funding the revolution. It's a symbiotic relationship, right? It's not really this hierarchy that we tend to think that it is. I'm channeling my ass off right now, y'all. But it's a symbiotic relationship, right? And sometimes what we think we want is not always what we need. So just keep that in mind moving forward when it comes to keeping your demons in check, when it comes to codependencies. This is a time for you to start. I'm guilty of this myself. I've been on a chocolate binge like crazy. And particularly any chocolate that has like wafer crisp, or like the little Rice Krispie things in there, because it's like crunchy at the same time. All right, I gotta push back myself. So I'm listening. This is for me as much as it is for all of y'all. Okay. Again, hydrate. Make sure that you are allowing your cells to absorb as much spring water, or water that's clean from a clean, hygienic source as possible. Water is a conduit between the spirit world as well as the 3D world. So when we hydrate ourselves and allow our beings to be nice and moist, we also allow ourselves the ability to hear ancestral voices and guidance from on high much easier. Let me know how this resonates with y'all, how it lands. Drop some comments below. You know where to find me if you need me. Love and kisses.